The fluorescent lights of County General's emergency department never stopped humming. A constant, low-frequency drone that buried itself into your skull after the first hour and never left. It mixed with the beeping of monitors, the squeak of gurney wheels on linoleum, the distant wail of sirens that never seemed to end. The smell was worse. Antiseptic trying to cover sweat, blood, and fear. It didn't work. It never worked. Dr. Sophia Reyes stood at the supply cart near the back wall, hands moving through boxes of gauze with mechanical precision. She sorted them by size without looking. 4x4s in one bin, 2x2s in another. Rolled bandages stacked by width. 28 years old, 5'3" in her sneakers, dark hair pulled back tight, eyes that didn't wander. She worked in silence. Behind her, the chaos of the ER rolled on. Nurses called out vitals. Residents scrambled between bays. Somewhere, a child cried. She didn't turn. Her hands kept moving. Muscle memory. A voice cut through the noise. Reyes. She didn't flinch, didn't stop, just kept sorting. Dr. Marcus Phelps leaned against the nurse's station 10 feet away, arms crossed over his white coat. 52. Chief attending. Salt and pepper beard trimmed with the kind of precision that took effort. His eyes tracked her with the same look he gave medical students who forgot to wash their hands. "You done with inventory yet?" he called. "We've got actual patients." Sophia placed the last roll of gauze into the bin. "Almost finished." "Almost." Phelps snorted, shaking his head. "You know, when I was a first year, we did scut work and ran traumas. Multitasking. You kids today spend half your shift hiding in supply closets." Nurse Diane Chen walked past with a chart in her hands, not looking up. "Leave her alone, Marcus." "I'm just saying," Phelps continued, louder now. "All that talk on her application about emergency experience, and 3 months in, she's still doing glorified janitorial work." Chen shot him a look. "She's doing what you told her to do. Because she hasn't proven she can handle anything else." Sophia's hands paused, just for a second, then continued. She closed the supply cart and pushed it toward the storage room. Her stride was even, unhurried. She didn't look at Phelps as she passed. He watched her go, then muttered under his breath to no one in particular. Probably exaggerated her resume. They all do. Chen stopped walking. "You don't know that. I know she freezes every time I ask her to do more than restock shelves. Maybe because you've been an ass to her since day one." Phelps waved a dismissive hand. "I'm trying to toughen her up. She wants to be a trauma surgeon. She needs thicker skin." Chen didn't answer. She just walked away. Phelps returned to his charts. In the storage room, Sophia stood in the dim light, hands resting on the edge of the metal shelf. She stared at the rows of supplies, organized, clean, controlled. Her breathing was slow, 4 counts in, 6 counts out. Her right hand drifted to her collarbone, fingers brushing the thin chain hidden beneath her scrubs. A small shape hummed from it, smooth, worn. She didn't pull it out, just touched it, then let her hand drop. She walked back into the ER. An hour later, Trauma Bay 2 lit up. The radio crackled. "Incoming MVA, ETA 3. Minutes. Single vehicle, teen driver, T-bone collision at high speed. Vitals unstable." The team moved. Phelps barked orders as he pulled on gloves. "Get me 2 large-bore IVs, type and cross for 4 units, and Sumption Page ortho." Residents swarmed. Gurneys rolled into position. Chen prepped the ultrasound. Sophia stood near the wall, hands clasped behind her back, watching. The ambulance doors burst open. Paramedics wheeled in a gurney. A boy, 16, maybe 17. Blood matted his blonde hair. His eyes rolled unfocused. A cervical collar held his neck rigid. "BP's 90/60 and dropping," the paramedic called out. "Heart rate 120. GCS was 13 in the field, now it's 10. Phelps stepped in. "Get him on the monitor. Someone start a second line." The boy thrashed. His arms flailed. "Hold him," Phelps snapped. "I need him still." 2 residents pinned his shoulders. A third tried to get a line into his left arm. "I can't find a vein." "Try the other arm." Sophia's gaze tracked the monitor above the bed. Heart rate climbing, oxygen saturation dropping. Breath sounds diminished on the left. She saw it before anyone said it. Pneumothorax. Phelps was focused on the IV. Come on, people, I need access, Sophia said. He didn't look up. Not now, Reyes. Left lungs collapsed. I said not now. He's got a tension pneumothorax. You need to decompress. Phelps finally turned his head, irritation flashing across his face. Thank you, doctor, but I've been doing this since you were in middle school. The oxygen monitor beeped. 82%. Chen looked at Sophia, then at Phelps. Marcus. I'm aware, Phelps said sharply. He gestured to the X-ray tech. Get me a chest film, now. The tech ran. Sophia stayed at the wall, silent, her jaw tight. 2 minutes later, the tech returned. Films are up. Phelps glanced at the screen. His expression didn't change, but his shoulders stiffened. Chest tube, he said. Now. Chen moved immediately, pulling the kit. The boy's oxygen climbed back as they worked. By the time the tube was in, he was stable. Phelps stripped off his gloves and walked past Sophia without a word. Chen caught her eye as she cleaned up. You called it early. Sophia shrugged. Lucky guess. Uh-huh. Chen's gaze dropped briefly to Sophia's neckline, where the edge of the chain peeked out just slightly from under her scrub top. Something metallic, thin, old. Sophia's hand moved instinctively to her collarbone. She tucked the chain deeper. Chen said nothing, just nodded. 2 hours later, the ER had quieted. Sophia sat in the break room, a paper cup of coffee in her hands. The coffee was cold. She hadn't taken a sip. She just held it. Her eyes traced the rim of the cup. Smooth, round, unbroken. Somewhere in the back of her mind, a different shape tried to surface. Jagged metal, torn steel. She blinked, looked at the cup. Just a cup. Her hands didn't shake, not anymore. The break room at 2 a.m. was always the same. Empty, quiet. Just the hum of the vending machine in the corner, and the distant murmur of voices from the ER down the hall. Sophia sat in the far corner, shoulders against the wall, legs stretched out in front of her. The paper cup of coffee was still in her hands, still cold. She hadn't moved in 20 minutes. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't seeing the room. She was seeing dirt, sand, heat rippling off metal. The sound came first, always the sound. Rotors, heavy, rhythmic, beating the air into submission. Then the dust, thick enough to choke on, enough to turn the sky brown. She blinked. The break room returned. Fluorescent lights, linoleum floor, the smell of burnt coffee. She exhaled slowly. 4 counts, then 6. Her right hand drifted to her neck. The chain was there. Always there. She wrapped her fingers around the small metal shape hanging from it. Dog tags. Worn smooth at the edges, the engraving barely legible now. She didn't pull them out, just held them through the fabric of her scrubs. The door swung open. Sophia's hand dropped immediately. Dr. Gavin Park stepped inside, lab coat wrinkled, hair sticking up in 3 directions. 26, second-year resident, eager, nervous. The kind of doctor who triple-checked everything. He froze when he saw her. Oh, sorry, didn't know anyone was in here. It's fine. Park grabbed a granola bar from the counter and unwrapped it. He glanced at her, then at the untouched coffee in her hands. You okay? Yeah. You sure? You were just staring. I'm fine. Park nodded slowly, unconvinced. He took a bite of the granola bar, chewed, watched her. You do that a lot, he said. Sophia looked at him. Do what? Go somewhere else, in your head. He gestured vaguely. Like you're remembering something. She didn't answer. Park shifted his weight. Sorry, that was weird. I just meant. I know what you meant. Silence. Park cleared his throat. Well, I should get back out there. Yeah. He left. Sophia set the coffee cup down on the table beside her. Her hand went back to her neck. This time she pulled the chain out. The tags caught the fluorescent light. Dull silver. 2 rectangular pieces of metal, stamped with letters that had started to fade. CPT Sophia Reyes, U.S. Army. Pause. She stared at them, then tucked them back under her scrubs, deeper this time. 3 hours later, Trauma Bay 1 called for all hands. A construction worker. 43. Fall from scaffolding, 20 feet onto concrete. The man was conscious when they brought him in, which was a good sign. His right leg was a mess. Compound fracture of the tibia and fibula. Bone visible through torn skin. Blood soaking through the temporary splint the paramedics had applied. Phelps took lead. Get me an ortho consult and 4 units on standby, he said, leaning over the patient. Sir, can you tell me your name? The man's voice was tight with pain. Kyle Brennan. Okay, Kyle, we're going to take care of you. Just stay still. Phelps worked quickly, efficient, ordering x-rays, stabilizing the leg, checking circulation distal to the fracture. Sophia stood in the hallway, just outside the bay, watching. Her eyes tracked the patient's face, his pupils, the way his left eyelid drooped just slightly, the way his gaze didn't quite track when Phelps moved. She stepped forward. "Dr. Phelps." He didn't look up. "What?" "Check his head again." "We already did a neuro exam. He's fine." His left pupil sluggish. Phelps glanced at the patient's eyes. "It's reactive. He's alert and oriented. Probably just shock." "It's not shock." Phelps straightened, irritation creeping into his voice. "Reyes, if you're not actively helping, step out." Sophia didn't move. "He's got an epidural hematoma." Phelps stared at her. "Based on what?" "Mechanism of injury. Lucid interval. Pupil asymmetry." "You got a CT scanner in your pocket?" "No, but I've seen it before." The room went quiet. Phelps crossed his arms. "Where exactly did you see it before?" Sophia's jaw tightened. She didn't answer. Phelps' eyes narrowed. "You're a first-year resident. Where the hell would you have seen an epidural bleed that you diagnosed clinically?" Chen stepped in. "Marcus, maybe just order the scan. I don't need a first-year telling me how to practice medicine." "I'm not telling you how to practice," Sophia said quietly. "I'm telling you he's going to die if you don't scan him." Phelps held her gaze, long enough that Park, watching from the corner, started to shift uncomfortably. Then Phelps turned to the tech. "Fine, get him a head CT." Sophia stepped back. She didn't say anything else. 20 minutes later, the radiologist called. Phelps answered, listened. His face didn't change, but his knuckles went white around the phone. He hung up. "She was right," he said flatly. "Epidural bleed. He's going to the OR now." Chen looked at Sophia. Sophia was already gone. Park found her in the stairwell an hour later. She was sitting on the steps between the second and third floors, elbows on her knees, head down. "Hey," Park said. She looked up. "You okay?" "Yeah. That was incredible, what you did in there." Sophia didn't respond. Park sat down beside her. "How did you know?" "I mean, I read about epidural hematomas, but I wouldn't have caught that, not that fast." "Experience." "From where?" She looked at him. Her expression was unreadable. "Residency's only 3 months in," Park continued. "And you said you didn't do a ton of trauma in med school." Sophia stood. "I should get back." "Wait." Park stood too. "I'm not trying to interrogate you. I just..." He hesitated. "You're different. The way you move. The way you think. It's not like the rest of us." "I'm not different." "You are." He met her eyes. "You don't panic. Ever. Even when Phelps is screaming. Even when a patient's crashing. You just go calm." Sophia's hand drifted toward her neck. She stopped herself. "I've had practice," she said. "At what?" She didn't answer. Just walked back down the stairs. Park stood there, watching her go. He thought about the way her shoulders stayed square even under pressure. The way her hands never shook. The way she gave orders like someone who'd done it 1,000 times before. Not like a first year. Like someone who'd been in charge of life and death long before County General. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew it meant something. That night, Sophia dreamed. She was back in the tent. Canvas walls, sand on everything. The air thick with heat and the metallic smell of blood. A young man on the table in front of her. 19, maybe 20. Shrapnel in his abdomen. Femoral artery torn. Her hands moved through the surgery. Fast, precise. But the blood kept coming. Too much, too fast. She called for more pressure. More suction. More hands. But there weren't enough hands. There were never enough hands. The boy's eyes found hers. He tried to say something. She couldn't hear it over the sound of the helicopter. Had her outside, his pupils dilated, fixed, gone. Sophia woke up. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were clenched into fists. She sat up in bed, breathing hard. 4 counts in, 6 counts out. The room was dark, quiet. No helicopters, no blood. Just her apartment, just the city outside her window. She reached for the chain around her neck, held it tight, and didn't let go for a long time. Day 47 at County General started like any other. Morning rounds. Coffee that tasted like burnt plastic. Phelps giving a lecture on abdominal trauma to a group of medical students who looked half asleep. Sophia stood at the back, arms crossed, listening. She'd heard it all before. Different words, same principles. Then the radio crackled. All personnel, mass casualty incident, bridge collapse on Route 9, multiple vehicles involved. ETA 4 minutes. Repeat, NAS casualty. The ER transformed. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Residents dropped what they were holding. Nurses moved like a choreographed unit, pulling crash carts into position, clearing bays, snapping on gloves. Phelps strode to the center of the department. Listen up. We're about to get slammed. I want 2 people per bay, runners between stations, and someone managing triage at the door. Chen, you're triage. Park, you're with me. Reyes. He looked at her. Supply station. Keep the carts stocked. Sophia didn't argue. She moved to the supply area, but her eyes stayed on the door. The first ambulance arrived 3 minutes later, then another, then 4 more. The doors didn't stop opening. Patients flooded in. A woman with a steering wheel embedded in her chest. A man with his leg twisted, at an angle that didn't exist in anatomy textbooks. A teenager screaming, both hands clutching her abdomen. Blood everywhere. Voices overlapping. Organized chaos, tipping toward just chaos. Sophia stood at the edge, hands steady, watching the flow. She counted patients, tracked injuries, noted who went where. Phelps worked Trauma Bay 3, a man in his 50s, chest compressions ongoing. Charged to 200, Phelps barked. Clear. The man's body jolted. The monitor flatlined. Again, 200, clear. Flatline. Come on, Phelps muttered. Come on, damn it. Chen stepped closer. Marcus, he's been down for 8 minutes. I didn't ask for commentary. Charge again. Marcus. Charge. The shock delivered. Nothing. Sophia watched from 15 feet away. She saw what Phelps wouldn't. Fixed pupils, mottled skin, no chest rise even with the tube in place. He was gone. But Phelps kept going. Epi. 1 milligram. Push it now. A resident fumbled with the syringe. Faster. Phelps snapped. The med went in. Nothing changed. Sophia stepped forward. Dr. Phelps. He didn't look up. Not now, Reyes. He's gone. I said not now. You've been coding him for 9 minutes. Asystole the entire time. Pupils are fixed. He's gone. Phelps turned, eyes blazing. I'm the attending here, and I'll decide when a patient is gone. You're doing compressions on a corpse. The bay went silent. Every head turned. Phelps' face flushed red. How dare you? A scream from Trauma Bay 1. He's crashing. I need help in here. Chen ran. Phelps looked between Sophia and the other bay. Then he followed Chen. Sophia stayed where she was. Watching. Trauma Bay. 1 was louder. A man in his 40s, blunt chest trauma, intubated, but oxygen saturation plummeting fast. Bag him harder, Phelps ordered. I am, the respiratory therapist shot back. Then why isn't he coming up? The monitor beeped. Oxygen at 81, then 78. Sophia moved to the doorway. She scanned the patient, chest rising unevenly, left side barely moving. Trachea deviated to the right, neck veins distended, tension pneumothorax. He needs a needle decompression, Sophia said. Phelps spun toward her. I know what he needs. Then do it. I'm assessing. There's no time. The monitor dropped. 74, then 68. Heart rate falling. 110, then 98. Sophia didn't wait. She stepped into the bay, grabbed a 14-gauge needle from the crash cart, and tore open the man's gown. Reyes, stop. She found the second intercostal space, mid-clavicular line, left side. Her hands didn't hesitate. She drove the needle in. There was resistance. Then a pop. Air hissed out. The man's chest rose. The monitor beeped. Oxygen climbing. 72, 78, 85, heart rate stabilizing. Sophia pulled the needle and stepped back. He'll need a chest tube, but he's stable. The room was frozen. Phelps stared at her. Not with anger. Something colder. Who the hell are you? Sophia met his eyes. She didn't answer. Then she turned and walked out. Behind her, the room erupted. Did you see that? She didn't even hesitate. Where did she learn that? Phelps said nothing. He just watched the doorway where she disappeared. Jen approached him quietly. Marcus. He didn't look at her. She just saved his life, Chen said. I know. So why do you look like that? Phelps finally turned. His voice was low. Because first years don't move like that. Like what? Like they've done it 100 times before. He looked back at the patient. Like they've done it under fire. Chen frowned. What are you saying? I'm saying she's not what she seems. In the hallway, Sophia leaned against the wall. Her hands were steady, but her heart was pounding. She closed her eyes, breathed. 4 counts in, 6 counts out. When she opened them, Park was standing in front of her. That was insane, he said. It was necessary. You didn't even ask permission. There wasn't time. Park stared at her. Who are you? Sophia pushed off the wall. I'm a resident. No. Park shook his head. You're something else. She didn't respond, just walked past him. But as she did, the chain around her neck shifted. The edge of the dog tags slipped out from under her scrubs. Just for a second. Park saw them. His eyes widened. Sophia reached up, tucked them back in, and kept walking. Park stood there, processing. Then he pulled out his phone and typed into the search bar. Captain Sophia Reyes, U.S. Army. The results loaded. His hands started shaking. The ER was still chaos 2 hours later. Patients lined the hallways. Families crowded the waiting room. Phones rang nonstop. Sophia stood at the scrub sink, washing blood off her hands. The water ran pink, then clear. She didn't look at it, just scrubbed. Behind her, the automatic doors opened. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Not the soft shuffle of hospital shoes. Boots. She looked up. A man stood in the doorway. Late 30s, buzz cut going gray at the temples, tan cargo pants. NTS. Brown t-shirts stretched over broad shoulders, right arm in a compression sleeve. Military. His eyes scanned the room, then locked on her. He went completely still. Sophia's hands froze under the running water. She knew that face. The man stepped forward, slowly, like he was afraid she'd disappear. Captain Reyes? The room didn't stop, but everyone nearby turned. Chen looked up from her station. Park, across the hall, froze mid-step. Phelps, coming out of Trauma Bay 2, stopped in his tracks. Sophia shut off the water. Her voice was calm, controlled. I think you have me confused with someone else. The man shook his head. No, I don't. He stepped closer. Kandahar, 2019, forward operating base Chapman. His voice was steady, certain. You were our trauma surgeon. Sophia's jaw tightened. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. He lifted his right arm, the compression sleeve. IED took half my shoulder. You operated on me in a tent with mortars coming in overhead. Told me to stop being a baby and hold still. Silence. Absolute. Park's mouth fell open. Chen stared. Phelps stepped forward, his voice sharp. Excuse me, sir, but Dr. Reyes is a first-year resident. You've obviously mistaken her for someone else. The man didn't take his eyes off Sophia. She's Captain Sophia Reyes, combat trauma surgeon, 75th Ranger Regiment. The words hung in the air like smoke. No one moved. Sophia closed her eyes, exhaled, slowly. When she opened them, something had shifted. The mask was gone. Sergeant Hollis, she said quietly. He grinned, wide, relieved. You remember. I remember. Phelps's voice cracked. Your army? Sophia didn't look at him. I was. A captain? Yes. A surgeon? Yes. Hollis stepped closer, eyes bright. She didn't just save me. She saved 15 of us that week. No backup, no supplies, mortars every night. He looked around the room. We called her the Iron Lady because nothing broke her. Chen's hand went to her mouth. Park just stared. Phelps said nothing. Sophia turned to Hollis. Why are you here? Bridge collapse. I was 2 cars back. He gestured to his arm. Dislocated shoulder. Nothing serious. He smiled. Thanks to you, I know what serious looks like. Sophia nodded once. You should get that looked at. I did. They cleared me. He paused. I just wanted to see if it was really you. It's me. Hollis's smile faded into something softer. Why didn't you say anything when you saw me come in? Because I'm not that person anymore. You'll always be that person. Sophia didn't respond. The doors burst open again. A man in full army dress uniform strode in, pressed and starched. Silver oak leaves on his collar. Lieutenant Colonel. He scanned the room with the kind of authority that didn't need to be announced. Then his eyes found Sophia. He stopped, straightened, and saluted. Captain Reyes. Every eye in the ER turned. Sophia's spine went rigid. Instinct. Her hands started to rise. She stopped it halfway, forced it back down. Sir, she said. The colonel lowered his hand. We need you. Phelps finally found his voice. Excuse me, Colonel, but Dr. Reyes is under my supervision here. She's a resident in this hospital, and she has responsibilities. Not anymore, the colonel said, his gaze still on Sophia. Phelps sputtered. Red, with all due respect, you can't just walk in here and... Captain Reyes is being requested for an emergency military medical operation. The colonel's voice was iron, calm, unshakable. Helicopter crash. Ranger training exercise gone wrong. 18 casualties. They asked for her by name. Sophia's breath caught. Sir, I'm not active duty. They don't care. He stepped closer. Those men know who you are. They trust you. And right now, trust is the only thing keeping some of them alive. Phelps moved between them. She's a first-year resident. She doesn't have the experience. The colonel finally looked at him. It was the kind of look that ended arguments. She's a decorated combat surgeon with 4 tours and 43 field operations under fire. She has more trauma experience than everyone in this room combined. Phelps' face went pale. The colonel turned back to Sophia. Choppers on the roof. We leave in 2 minutes. Sophia looked at Phelps, then at Chen, then at the ER around her. The patience, the chaos, the life she'd built in 3 months of hiding. Hollis stepped forward. They need you, Captain. Sophia's hand went to her neck, to the chain. She pulled it out. The dog tags caught the fluorescent light. She looked at them, then at the colonel. Let's go. Phelps grabbed her arm. You can't just leave. She pulled free, gently, but firmly. Yes, I can. She walked toward the colonel. Phelps called after her. If we walk out that door, don't expect to come back. Sophia stopped, turned, met his eyes. Then, I guess I won't come back. She followed the colonel out. The ER stood in stunned silence. Chen was the first to speak. Did that just happen? Park nodded slowly, still staring at the door. I think so. Phelps stood frozen, his face unreadable. Then he turned and walked into his office, slammed the door. On the roof. The helicopter waited, black, unmarked, rotors spinning, the downdraft turning the air into a storm. Sophia climbed in. The colonel followed. A crew chief handed her a headset. She put it on. The rotors roared. They lifted. The city dropped away below. Lights stretched into grids. Streets became lines. Sophia's hands rested on her knees, steady. The colonel's voice crackled in her ear. Crash site is 18 minutes out. We've got 3 critical, 5 serious, 10 walking wounded. Field hospital is set up, but it's bare bones. Sophia nodded. What's the supply situation? Limited. You'll have to make do. I always do. Silence. The colonel studied her. I read your file. She didn't respond. 4 tours, 43 surgeries, not one death on your table. 42, she said quietly. He looked at her. I lost 1. The colonel's expression softened. That's why you left. Yes, sir. And now you're going back. Sophia looked out the window. Trees. Darkness. Smoke rising in the distance. Somewhere down there, men were bleeding, dying, waiting. She turned back to the colonel. Now I go back. The crash site was hell. Sophia saw it before they landed. Smoke rising through the trees. Fire still burning in patches. Twisted metal scattered across a clearing like shrapnel. Men moving between the wreckage, dragging bodies, shouting orders into radios. The helicopter descended hard. She was out before the skids touched ground. The noise. Is hit her first. Rotors, shouting, the crackle of flames. The smell came next. Burning fuel, scorched earth, blood. A ranger sergeant ran toward her. Blood streaked across his face, eyes wild but focused. Captain Reyes, where are the wounded? He pointed toward a cluster of tarps strung between trees. Triage is there. We've got 3 critical, 5 serious. Rest are walking. Operating area, field tent, 50 meters that way. It's not much. It never is. She started walking. Get me a rundown, worst first. The sergeant kept pace. Corporal Hayes, crush injury to the pelvis, femoral bleed we can't control. Private Nguyen, head trauma. GCS dropped to 6 in the last 10 minutes. Staff Sergeant Oakes, penetrating chest wound, hemothorax. Sophia's mind was already working, prioritizing, calculating. How long since the crash? 40 minutes. Hayes first, then Nguyen. Oakes is stable if he's still breathing. Yes, ma'am. She stepped into the clearing and stopped, because every ranger in sight had stopped too. They were standing, all of them. Even the ones with splints, even the ones with blood soaking through their uniforms. One by one, they came to attention. A young private, leg immobilized, struggled to his feet. His face was pale, but his spine was straight. A staff sergeant with his arm in a sling stood rigid, eyes forward. Another ranger, face covered in blood, snapped his boots together. Sophia's throat tightened. She opened her mouth to tell them to stand down, but nothing came out. The colonel stepped beside her. His voice was low. "They know who you are, Captain." A voice called out from the group, hoarse but strong. "You saved my brother, Helmand Province, 2018. Another voice, "You operated on me, took shrapnel out of my spine, told me I'd walk again." A third, "You held my hand when I thought I was dying, said I wasn't allowed to quit." Sophia's vision blurred. She blinked it back. Her voice came out steady, controlled. "I need all of you to sit down, right now." They did, instantly, no hesitation. She walked toward the triage area. Behind her, the colonel watched. He'd seen a lot of officers in his career, but he'd never seen one command that kind of respect without saying a word. The field tent was barely holding together. Canvas walls, tarps for a roof, a single operating table made from stacked crates and plywood. Lights rigged from a portable generator that coughed and sputtered every 30 seconds. It was worse than Kandahar. Sophia didn't hesitate. "Get Hayes on the table. I need 2 units of ONEG, a crash cart, and every clamp you've got." A medic stammered, "We don't have 2 units." "Then get me one and find donors. Move." She scrubbed her hands in a bowl of sterilized water. No sink, no soap dispenser. Just a goal and a bottle of iodine. Good enough. Hayes was unconscious when they brought him in. 22 years old, blonde hair matted with sweat. Pelvis crushed, blood pooling under the table. Sophia's hands moved, fast, precise. She found the bleed, femoral artery torn clean through. "Clamp." A medic handed it to her. She clamped the artery. The bleeding slowed. Suture. 3-O-proline. Her hands moved like they'd never stopped, like the last 3 months hadn't happened, like she was back where she belonged. The generator sputtered. The lights flickered. "Don't you dare," she muttered. The lights held. She tied off the artery, checked the distal pulse. Strong. He's stable. Get him on fluids and monitor his pressure. Next. They brought Nguyen in. Head trauma. Skull fracture visible. Pupils unequal. She worked for 20 minutes. Decompressed the hematoma. Stabilized the fracture. He started breathing easier. Next. Oakes came in. Chest wound. Hemothorax, like the sergeant said. She placed a chest tube in 4 minutes. Blood drained into a collection bottle. His oxygen came up. Next. They kept coming. She didn't stop. 6 hours. No breaks. No hesitation. When the last patient was stabilized, she stepped out of the tent. The sun was rising, pink and gold, spreading across the sky. The clearing was quieter now, patients resting, medics moving between them with IV bags and blankets. The colonel stood near the tree line, watching. She walked toward him. Her scrubs were soaked with blood. Her hands were stained. Her hair had come loose from its tie. But her eyes were clear. "They're all stable," she said. The colonel nodded. "I know. They'll need transport to a real hospital within the next 6 hours. Already arranged." Silence. The colonel studied her. "You didn't lose a single one." Sophia looked back at the tent. "Not this time. They want you back, you know." She turned to him. "Active duty," he continued. "Full rank restored. Your choice of assignment." Sophia's hands clenched, then relaxed. "I can't." "Why not?" She looked at the sky. The pink light. The smoke still rising in thin streams. "Because I already lost one, and I can't carry another." The colonel was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "What if you didn't have to operate?" She frowned. "What do you mean?" "Teach," he said. "Train the next generation. Make sure they don't lose anyone either." Sophia stared at him. "We need someone who knows what it's like out here. Someone who can teach residents and medics how to handle the impossible." He met her eyes. "That's you." She didn't answer, just looked back at the tent, at the men inside, all alive, all whole, because she hadn't stopped. "I'll think about it," she said quietly. The colonel smiled. "That's all I'm asking." The helicopter came back an hour later. Sophia climbed in. The rotors spun up. She looked down at the clearing as they lifted. The Rangers were still there, standing again, watching her go. One of them saluted, then another, then all of them. Sophia's hand moved. This time, she didn't stop it. She saluted back. The helicopter turned. The clearing disappeared behind the trees. Sophia leaned back against the seat, closed her eyes, and for the first time in 3 years, she felt the weight lift. Not gone, but lighter. The colonel's voice crackled in her headset. "You did good, Captain." She didn't open her eyes. Just nodded. The city came into view ahead. County General somewhere in the distance, waiting. She didn't know if she'd go back. Didn't know if Phelps would let her. But she knew one thing. She wasn't hiding anymore. County General looked different when she walked back through the doors. Same fluorescent lights. Same linoleum floors. Same smell of antiseptic and fear. But everything had changed. Sophia stepped into the ER at 6 in the morning, still wearing the blood-stained scrubs from the field. She hadn't gone home, hadn't showered, hadn't slept. She just came back. The moment she walked in, the room went quiet. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. A nurse dropping off a chite froze mid-step. Park saw her first. His eyes went wide. He opened his mouth but didn't say anything. Chen was at the nurse's station. She stared for a long moment, then smiled. Small, genuine. Sophia walked toward the locker room. Phelps stepped out of his office. He saw her, stopped. They stood 15 feet apart. The ER watched, waiting. Phelps didn't say anything. Neither did Sophia. Then he turned and walked back into his office. The door closed. Not slammed, just closed. Sophia exhaled, kept walking. In the locker room, she changed into clean scrubs, washed her face, pulled her hair back. She looked at herself in the mirror. The dog tags hung outside her shirt now, visible. She didn't tuck them in. When she came back out, Park was waiting. "Hey," he said. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah," he hesitated. "I looked you up." Sophia stopped. Park continued. "After I saw the tags, I found articles, citations, a whole commendation report." His voice was quiet. "You saved over 60 soldiers in 4 years. 62. You left after one died." Sophia's jaw tightened. "Yes. Why?" She looked at him. Really looked at him. 26 years old. Still believed he could save everyone. Still thought medicine had clear answers. "Because I couldn't save him," she said quietly. "And I couldn't stop seeing his face." Park nodded slowly. "What was his name?" "Corporal Danny Ortiz, 19, from Sacramento." Her voice didn't waver. "Took an RPG blast. Shrapnel severed his aorta. I had him on the table in 3 minutes. Did everything right, but he bled out before I could repair it." "That's not your fault." "I know." She met his eyes. "But it doesn't change the fact that he died on my table." Silence. Then Park said, "You came back anyway." "I did." "Why?" Sophia glanced toward the ER. Toward the chaos and noise and endless tide of people who needed help. Because hiding didn't bring him back, and it didn't save anyone else. Park nodded. He didn't say anything else, just walked with her back into the ER. 2 hours later, Phelps found her restocking a crash cart. He stood there for a long moment. She didn't look up, just kept working. Finally he spoke. "You made me look like a fool." Sophia stopped, turned. "That wasn't my intent." "No, your intent was to hide." He crossed his arms. "You let me treat you like a first year when you had more experience than half the attendings here. I didn't want the attention." "Why?" "Because every time someone thanks me, I see the ones I couldn't save." Phelps' expression shifted, just slightly. "You saved 18 Rangers yesterday." "I know." "And you saved that construction worker, and the kid with the pneumothorax." He paused. "You've saved more people in 3 months than most residents save in 3 years. Sophia didn't respond. Phelps exhaled, long, tired. "I was wrong about you. You didn't know. That's not an excuse." He looked at her, really looked at her. "You're better than me." "I'm not." "You are." His voice was steady now, certain, and I was too proud to see it. He extended his hand. "I'm sorry." Sophia looked at it, then shook it. "Accepted." Phelps nodded. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you came back." "So am I." He turned to leave, stopped. "Oh, and Reyes? Yeah? Don't ever hide those again." He gestured to the dog tags hanging outside her scrubs. "You earned them." He walked away. Sophia stood there. Her hand drifted to the tags. She held them for a moment, then let them fall back against her chest. That afternoon, a hospital administrator called her into his office. Dr. Raymond Kwan, 54, sharp suit, sharper mind. He ran County General like a ship, and everyone knew it. He gestured to a chair. "Sit." She did. Quan leaned back, fingers steepled. So, Army Captain, Combat Surgeon, 4 tours, 62 lives saved. He smiled faintly. Hell of a resume. I didn't lie on my application. No. You just omitted about 90% of your qualifications. He chuckled. Technically accurate. I can respect that. Sophia waited. Quan leaned forward. Here's the situation. The board met this morning. They want to offer you a position. Sophia frowned. I'm a first-year resident. Not anymore. He slid a folder across the desk. Attending physician, trauma surgery, effective immediately. She stared at the folder. Didn't touch it. What about Dr. Phelps? Phelps recommended you himself. Her eyes widened. Quan smiled. Surprised? Yes. Don't be he's an ass sometimes. But he knows talent when he sees it. He tapped the folder. The position is yours if you want it. Sophia looked at the folder, at the future sitting on the desk in front of her. I have a condition, she said. Name it. I want to start a program. Trauma training for high-stress situations. Teach residents how to operate under impossible conditions. Quan's smile widened. I was hoping you'd say that. He stood, extended his hand. Welcome to the team, Dr. Reyes. She stood, shook his hand. Thank you. As she left the office, she passed a window overlooking the ER. The chaos below, the patients, the residents running between bays. She'd spent 3 months hiding from this. 3 months pretending she was someone else. But standing here now, watching the controlled chaos, she realized something. She wasn't running anymore. That night, she sat in the break room. Same corner, same chair, but the coffee in her hands was hot. And she drank it. Chen walked in, saw her, smiled. You're still here. I am. Chen sat down across from her. I'm glad. Me too. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Chen spoke. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you tell anyone about your background? Sophia looked into her coffee. Because I didn't want to be Captain Reyes anymore. I wanted to be just Sophia. And now? Sophia looked at the dog tags resting outside her scrubs. Now I think I can be both. Chen nodded. Good. She stood, paused at the door. For what it's worth, I think you're going to change a lot of lives here. I hope so. Chen left. Sophia sat alone. But for the first time in 3 years, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt like peace. 3 weeks changed everything. The shift was subtle at first. Small things. The way residents looked at Sophia when she walked into a room. The way nurses asked her opinion, even when. And she wasn't the attending on a case. The way Phelps deferred to her during traumas without hesitation. Respect wasn't demanded, it was earned, and she'd earned it. ER felt different now. Calmer, more focused. Like the chaos had been turned down from a roar to a hum. Sophia stood at the nurse's station, reviewing charts. Park approached, hesitant. Dr. Reyes? She looked up. Yeah? I have a question. About the pneumothorax patient from last week. Go ahead. How did you know? Before the imaging came back, Sophia set down the chart. Mechanism of injury, breath sounds, tracheal deviation. You don't always need a scan to know what's happening. But what if you're wrong? Then you adjust. But if you wait for certainty, the patient dies. Park nodded slowly. So you just trust your instincts? No, I trust my training and my experience. She met his eyes. Instinct is just pattern recognition. The more you see, the faster you recognize the pattern. How do I get there? By not being afraid to act. She handed him the chart. And by learning from every mistake. Park took the chart. Will you teach me? Sophia paused, then nodded. Yeah, I will. That afternoon, Quan made the announcement. County General was launching a new trauma readiness program. Advanced training for residents and attending physicians. Simulations, high-stress scenarios. Real-world decision-making under pressure. Led by Dr. Sophia Reyes. The conference room was packed. 20 residents, 5 attendings. Even Phelps sat in the back, arms crossed, watching. Sophia stood at the front, a marker in her hand. She wrote on the whiteboard, "Stay calm, act fast, save lives." She turned to face them. Trauma isn't just about knowing procedures, she said. It's about executing them when everything is falling apart, when you don't have the tools you need, when the patient is dying and everyone around you is panicking. She let the words sit. Anyone can learn to intubate in a controlled environment, but can you do it in the back of an ambulance going 70 miles an hour? Can you do it when the lights go out? When you're out of supplies? Silence. That's what I'm here to teach you. A resident in the front row raised her hand, young, nervous. How do you stay calm when everything's going wrong? Sophia looked at her. You accept that you can't control the chaos. You can only control yourself. Another hand. What if you make a mistake? You will. Everyone does. Sophia's voice was steady. But you don't freeze. You adapt. You fix it. And you keep moving forward. Park spoke from the side. What if someone dies? The room went quiet. Sophia's gaze didn't waver. Then you grieve, you learn, and you make sure the next one doesn't. She looked around the room. This job will break you if you let it, but it will also make you stronger than you ever thought possible. She set down the marker. We start simulations tomorrow. 6 a.m. Don't be late. The room filed out. Phelps stayed. He approached her slowly. That was good. Thanks. I mean it. He paused. You're changing the culture here, for the better. Sophia didn't respond. Phelps continued. I've been doing this for 25 years. I thought I had it figured out. He met her eyes. But watching you work, I realized I've been teaching people to be cautious. You're teaching them to be bold. Bold gets people killed if you're not careful. So does hesitation. He smiled faintly. You've found the balance. That's rare. He turned to leave, stopped at the door. For what it's worth, I'm proud to work with you. Sophia's throat tightened. Thank you. Phelps nodded and left. The first simulation ran the next morning. A mock mass casualty event. 10 actors playing patients. Smoke machines, fake blood, sirens blaring, controlled chaos. The residents moved through it like they were underwater. Slow, uncertain, freezing when they should act. Sophia watched from the observation room. Chen stood beside her. They're struggling. They are. Are you going to step in? Not yet. Sophia's eyes tracked a young resident standing over a fake patient with a tension pneumothorax. The resident had the needle in her hand, but she wasn't moving. Sophia spoke into the microphone. Dr. Larson. The resident looked up. Yes? What do you see? Decreased breath sounds on the left, tracheal deviation, distended neck veins. And what does that mean? Tension pneumothorax. So what are you going to do about it? The resident hesitated. I need to decompress. Then do it. But I'm scared I'll mess it up. Sophia's voice was calm, firm. Fear means you care. Now act anyway. The resident looked at the needle, then at the patient, then drove the needle in. The actor's fake monitor beeped back to normal. The resident exhaled, shaking. Sophia spoke again. Good. Now move to the next patient. The resident nodded. Moved. Chen smiled. You're good at this. I've had practice. By the end of the week, the residents were moving faster, thinking clearer, acting with more confidence. The simulation scores went up. Real-world outcomes improved. 2 lives saved in the ER that week because residents recognized patterns they'd seen in the simulations. Quan called Sophia into his office again. The board is impressed, he said. Trauma outcomes are up 18% in 3 weeks. It's a good team. It's good leadership. He leaned back. We want to expand the program. Open it to other hospitals. Regional training center. Sophia blinked. That's a big step. And you're the right person to lead it. She didn't answer immediately. Quan watched her. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I came here to hide. And now you're asking me to step into the spotlight. I'm asking you to do what you do best. Teach, lead, save lives. Sophia looked out the window, at the city beyond, at the hospital below. Okay, she said quietly. Okay? Yeah, let's do it. Quan grinned. Good. We start planning next week. That night, Sophia walked through the ER one more time before heading home. It was quieter now. Late shift. Fewer patients. She passed Trauma Bay 3. A young resident was inside, stitching up a laceration. His hands were steady, his focus sharp. She didn't interrupt, just watched. He finished, checked the wound, nodded to himself, then looked up, saw her, smiled. She nodded back, kept walking. At the exit, she paused, looked back at the ER. The lights, the movement, the lives being saved every single day. 3 months ago, she'd walked in here trying to forget who she was. Now she was teaching others to become who she'd been. She touched Jed the dog tags around her neck, then pushed through the doors into the night. 18 months later, County General's new Trauma Education Center stood on the north side of the hospital campus. 3 stories, glass and steel. State-of-the-art simulation labs on every floor. The brass plaque beside the entrance read, Reyes Center for Trauma Excellence. Sophia walked through the main doors at 7 in the morning, coffee in hand. The lobby was already full. Residents from 3 different hospitals, paramedics, flight nurses, even a few military medics in uniform, here on rotation. She nodded to a few as she passed. They nodded back. Respect, earned, quiet. Her office was on the 3rd floor. Corner view. She could see the whole city from up here. The walls were covered now. Photos, certificates, memories. Her old unit in Kandahar. Faces she'd never forget. Hollis with his arm around her shoulder, grinning like an idiot. The Rangers from the helicopter crash, all standing, all alive. And new photos too. Residents in front of the simulation center, graduation ceremonies. A newspaper article with the headline, Former Army Surgeon Transforms Trauma Training. She set her coffee on the desk, looked at the photos, smiled. A knock at the door. Come in. Park entered. He looked different now. More confident. His white coat actually fit. No more wrinkles. Morning, Dr. Reyes. Morning. You ready for today? I think so. He hesitated. Actually, I wanted to tell you something. Go ahead. I got the fellowship. Johns Hopkins, trauma surgery. Sophia's smile widened. Park, that's incredible. I wouldn't have gotten it without you. His voice was steady, genuine. A year ago, I didn't know what kind of doctor I wanted to be. You showed me. You did the work. You showed me how. Silence. Then Park grinned. Also, they asked about you in the interview. Wanted to know what it was like training under a living legend. Sophia laughed. What did you say? I said you're terrifying and brilliant, and I'm a better doctor because of you. Good answer. Park left. Sophia sat at her desk, pulled up her calendar. 3 simulations today, a lecture at noon, a meeting with the board at 4. She was busier now than she'd ever been in the Army. But it was different. No mortars, no blood-soaked tents, no 19-year-olds dying in her hands. Just teaching, building, creating something that would last. Her phone buzzed. A text from Chen. Admit in Bay 2 asking for you by name. Says you saved his life. Sophia stood, grabbed her coat, headed downstairs. Bay 2 was quiet when she arrived. A man sat on the bed, late 30s, buzz cut going gray, compression sleeve on his right arm. Hollis. He looked up when she walked in, grinned. Captain. Sergeant. She crossed her arms. What are you doing here? Dislocated shoulder. Again, he gestured to his arm. Thought I'd come see my favorite surgeon. You drove 3 hours for a dislocated shoulder? Maybe I just wanted to see the place. He looked around. Heard you built something pretty special here. Sophia sat on the stool beside the bed. It's not just me. It started with you. He met her eyes. You know how many lives you've saved since you left the Army? I don't keep count. I do. He pulled out his phone, showed her an article. This program you built? It's been adopted by 6 hospitals. Trauma survival rates are up across the region. That's you. Sophia looked at the article, then at Hollis. Thank you. For what? For reminding me why I do this. Hollis smiled. Anytime, Captain. She reset his shoulder in 4 minutes. He didn't even flinch. You're getting tougher in your old age, she said. Learned from the best. He left an hour later. Sophia stood at the window, watching him walk to his car. He turned. Waved. She waved back. Then returned to her office. That evening, the center hosted a graduation ceremony. 20 residents completing the advanced trauma program. Families in the audience. Faculty on stage. Sophia stood at the podium, looking out at the faces. Some nervous, some proud. All ready. She took a breath. A year ago, most of you didn't know what a tension pneumothorax looked like outside of a textbook. Now you can decompress one in under 30 seconds in a moving ambulance. A few laughs. Use learned procedures, protocols, decision trees. She paused. But the most important thing you've learned is this. You don't break. Silence. You'll see things in this career that will stay with you forever. Patients you can't save. Families you can't comfort. Mistakes that will haunt you. She looked at them, each one. But you'll also see miracles. Lives saved because you didn't give up. Families reunited because you stayed calm when everyone else panicked. Patients who walk out of the hospital because you did your job. Her voice was steady, strong. Trauma doesn't define you. How you rise from it does. She stepped back. The room stood. Applause filled the space. Sophia didn't smile, just nodded, stepped off the stage. Later in her office, she sat in the quiet. The city lights stretched out below. Her hand drifted to her neck. The dog tags were still there, always there, but they didn't feel heavy anymore. She pulled them out, looked at them. CPT Sophia Reyes, U.S. Army, pause. She thought about Corporal Danny Ortiz, 19, Sacramento, the one she couldn't save. And she thought about the 62 she did, the 18 rangers in the forest, the hundreds of residents she'd trained, the thousands of lives they'd go on to save. Danny's face was still there, still clear. But it wasn't the only face anymore. She set the tags on her desk, picked up a photo, her first class of residents, standing in front of the center, smiling. She put it in the frame beside her computer, looked at it, and smiled. A knock at the door. Chen poked her head in. "Hey, a bunch of us are going out for drinks. You coming?" Sophia looked at her desk, at the work waiting, then at Chen. "Yeah, I'm coming." She stood, grabbed her coat, walked out. Behind her, the office stayed lit. The photos on the wall, the certificates, the memories. A life built not on what she'd lost, but on what she'd found. The screen fades, text appears. Trauma doesn't define you. How you rise from it does. Dr. Sophia Reyes, former captain, U.S. Army. Director, Reyes Center for Trauma Excellence. The text fades. The last image is Sophia walking out of the hospital. Not running, not hiding. Just walking. Into the night. Into the future. Into the life she'd built from the ashes of the one she'd lost. Fade to black. End.